Hello, we are back. Hello.
Hi.
Oops. That is the wrong browser. Wrong brazier.
Do you guys see the new Hanzo skin? Oh my god.
Okay, we have switched voices to the one that works now.
Switch voices?
Yeah, the other voice wasn't working. Now this voice works.
Oh, that doesn't make any sense.
All better, guys? Quack, quack, quack.
Quack. Yeah. Like, new Hanzo's probably dad now. Don't know.
Dad or daddy?
I mean, Daddy 76 will always be ultimate dad, but I'm feeling it. I'm feeling that. So we start the show, what?
Just about. It's not quite time yet. Close, though. Still in pre-show.
So-
Fucking pre.
Today, I got to write an article about how Brigitte is now the most popular Overwatch hero search on Pornhub.
Congratulations.
Yes. And you know what? I made sure to put in the end of the article that that's a real testament to the Overwatch team making these heroes like so realistic, designing them so well to make them so beautiful, to develop their stories so well that they feel like people that we want to get to know better and have sex with, obviously. But I don't know, it's just good. But like my company put it on Reddit and it got a bunch of comments and stuff, and one of the best ones was like a bunch of people were just like, oh, I don't want to hear about this, I don't want to know, this is weird, blah 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 blah. And somebody's like, hey, so since this is obviously some of your first days on the internet, welcome.
Right.
That's what the internet's for, isn't it?
Right.
Like, as I always say, everybody likes something different. But if you go online, you will find the same people. You know, you'll find the people that like the quicksand porn. You'll find the people that love going to Subway and having sex with sandwiches, you know? And you do too. And then you like soul bond with those people over something like that.
Right.
Not in the same room though, unless that's what you're into, you know? Or not.
I mean,
It's fine.
that's a little weird.
I don't know. It's honestly like I feel like nothing is that weird because like everybody likes something, you know?
You sure? I mean, maybe you should.
Rule 34, my friend.
I don't know, but you should probably look at the stream real quick because
Oh,
some things are a little too weird.
hey, I'd go for that.
No, Rule 34 indeed.
Ah, okay, go for that. No, no can do. But yeah, I mean, if you're not hurting anybody that doesn't want to be hurt, and if you're not
Fair.
hurting yourself, you know, in a way that's gonna be not good for you. Because, like, you know, some people are into that too.
Sure, yeah. There was a whole
Yeah.
novel and
And
movie
everything's
movement on
fine.
that lately.
Everything's fine, yeah. And it's like, when you really think about it, like, watching video game character porn is like so. It doesn't even matter, you know? Like, nobody's getting hurt here. You know, nobody's not getting paid for anything. You know, it's just like it's art, you know? Like, it's not. You know, like, you can't like be obsessed with the character so much that you want to go out and like be gross, you know, because they don't actually exist. It's like it's inconsequential, you know. It's all good. It's safe. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, it's all fine.
It's fine.
You know, because everybody's got their own shit, right?
Yes.
And, you know, if I'm into really, really short ladies who are short and stout, like a little teapot.
You're into women who have the bodies of their fathers.
I mean, I wasn't thinking about it that way. I was just thinking about her having a short, squat body, and maybe I'm into that. Thank you, Mighty Elder Goth. It's an awesome name.
I feel like I would. I still would.
You still would?
Still would. Would smash.
All right, music's
Beggars can't be choosers. You know what I'm saying?
tweaked a little lower. How's that? Is that better? Teki Taco. Oh yeah, house shorts. If you're 4'11", huh? Hey.
Wow, some of you guys are. I think I'm like 5'7"
Jesus.
or so. I think.
Yeah, good call, Brute Fiend.
Taryn, you're pretty tall. How tall are you? I was impressed. I was like, oh shit, Taryn's tall. That's
Yeah.
nice.
Tall Terran.
Yeah.
Teki Taco and Tall Terran. Okay, I think we're about good. It's about time to call it a show. We're at the show time.
Yes.
Let's go ahead and make this official with the update. What are we talking about?
I would like to talk about
Mental issues?
just some of those. But you know,
All right.
I'll make it fun. It's fun. It's fine now, so I can talk about it in the past tense.
All right, let's go ahead and give it 1 second.
Pat,
for the
you are
overlay.
not 8'3".
All right, here we go. We'll be right back.
Okay.
Welcome, everyone, to episode 27 of the LB stream. We are here. It's Friday night. We're on. Everybody's here. Everybody's up in here. It's a good crowd, as usual. We continue to be absolutely astounded that you guys choose to spend part of your Friday night with us. That's fucking awesome. We also have a special guest tonight. Everyone say hello to Brigitte with the body of her father.
We're celebrating her recent rise to the top of Pornhub searches.
/ to the bottom.
she knocked Diva out of the top spot. So now it's her and then Diva, and Widowmaker and Tracer. Their searches went up this year, and Mercy, who was in the second spot behind Diva, has been pushed down to 5th place. She got nerfed.
Oh boy.
That's funny. But yeah, so this is the LB stream, the Lagging Balls stream. This is not the Lagging Balls podcast. That comes out every week. The most recent, or the next podcast that comes out will be later this week, probably around the weekend or on Monday or something like that, because we have a special thing going on. So that's the reason. We're not just being lazy, but if we didn't actually have a reason, yeah, it probably would be just because we're lazy, because we are. But this is not that. The Lagging Balls podcast, we talk about Blizzard games, and the Lagging Balls stream, we just talk about whatever we think about 5 minutes before the show. However, I've been thinking about talking about this for actually a while now. And I don't know, some stuff happened today. A lot of stuff happened today, actually. And I feel like I'm hoping that if I sort of like get this out and tell you guys about it a little bit, maybe it can help, just because I feel like the stuff that I need to say, most of it is no longer an issue at all. And I think it's important to have examples that you can sort of use in everyday life of people that go through things and then are fine on the other side. But as is sort of the theme of my life, like, this stuff is all really weird and kind of gross. So, it should be still entertaining, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe, hopefully, I don't know. So if it gets too heavy, let me know. We can switch topics, but
yeah, and then I'll just pick up some flopping wiener gifs to put up on the screen, and we'll be all good.
Flopping wieners. Are people crying?
Wieners, flopping wieners, flopping wieners.
Wieners, wieners, flopping wieners.
Not erect.
Not erect. Wieners. Okay, so let's just dive into it, I guess, because I can't keep digressing. I mean, I definitely could, because that's what I do. I can do that.
We often do. It's kind of what we do.
We do that. No. Okay. So, hey, Blazing Bob, what's going on? Okay, so let's go. So when I was 6, let's just say, when I was a little kid, I don't remember. I was sitting on the floor of the living room in the house that I grew up in, and I was eating cereal or something with a spoon. I don't remember, but I was just sitting there eating, and all of a sudden, my brain was like, "Hey, the next bite you take of that." No, it was Alphagetti or some shit like that. It's
Okay.
like, if no. How did it start? It was just like, hey, if there's poison in what you're eating, you're gonna fucking die. So don't eat it. It was something like
What
that.
a horrible thought.
And I think it might have came from the TV or something like that. I don't know. But that was sort of like the point in which my anxiety started. And it was made worse because, and I didn't know this yet, but I had obsessive compulsive tendencies. So it just sort of like manifested into things that I'd see on TV, or things that I'd hear about that I didn't quite understand. Like if I saw something bad happening on the TV, it would happen to me, because
Sure.
I was there witnessing it. It got so bad, like I would worry about going blind so much that I would get like tunnel vision, because when you worry about stuff, like you kind of hypochondriac that stuff into existence.
Oh yeah.
So there'd be that. I would see various diseases on the TV, like your cancer, your AIDS, whatever. And like, I'm a little kid, I don't know what it means, but I know that you can die from it. So I'm assuming like everybody can give it to me. I don't know how you get it. I don't know how it kills you. So I just assume it is. And then, it would branch into weird shit like somebody put a curse on me, so I'm going to die, or somebody's going to clone me and the clone's going to kill me or something, just stupid shit like that. Because I'm a little kid and I don't know any better.
Sure.
So
it goes from things that are real in the world to things that are not even necessarily real in the world anymore, just outlandish, but it's all fake in your head anyway, so it doesn't even matter that it's whether it's real or based in real or fake.
Exactly. So like this shit would affect me physically. I would just I wouldn't eat for a long time because I was convinced it was poison. I wouldn't sleep because I figured I might die in my sleep, or I would abstain from things because I would just get scared by everything. So the whole Alphagetti thing came into play later on. So I had this anxiety. It was affecting me in every single way. Like I remember I watched a documentary because I was really into animals. I still am, but I was really into animals when I was a little kid, and I was watching this documentary about this poisonous fish, and if you touch the fish you die, but the fish lives in fucking South America or some shit.
Sure, yeah.
I couldn't even go out at recess the next day because I was convinced that somehow I would touch this tropical fish at recess in the middle of Eastern Canada and just die.
Can I give you a very minor thing that I relate to in that?
Yeah.
I saw Jaws when I was way too young, and then I couldn't even swim alone ever, even in a pool. There's clearly not any sharks in a pool. But if I found myself alone, even if I was swimming with a bunch of friends, and then I went under the water or whatever, and then I come back up and everybody's out, and I'm the only one in the pool in the middle, I would freak out and just swim like hell, for my life to the edge. It was very strange. That's one tiny little minor thing that I could relate to.
Yeah, but that's you being a kid. So as a kid, it's 100 times worse just because you don't understand.
Sure.
You don't understand how that couldn't happen.
Yeah.
Because everything feels like it could happen. So I'm sitting on the floor again and I'm eating this Alphagetti, and I'm agonizing over it because I can't eat it because it's poison. If I don't see people prepare the food or whatever, then I assume there's poison in it. And if it comes from a can, I'm somebody at the can factory put poison in it or whatever. That was the main trigger. So anyway, I'm fucking staring at this stupid shit, and then all of a sudden this other voice in my head, not a voice, but this voice was stronger than the anxiety voice, says, hey, if the next spoonful of Alphagetti contains the letter A, you won't die. And I was holy shit, really? For some reason,
God,
whatever that was more powerful to me than the anxiety. And of course, I didn't know that was OCD, but that's what it was. So from then on, and I don't remember if I had a spoonful of A's or not, but from then on, it was like, if I really wanted to do something, if I needed to like continue with life, OCD would chime in, but I would always have to pay a price. So like, you know, you want to eat this piece of cake, you have to go and fucking touch the wall 3 times. Or like, you want to like drink this soda. No, you cannot unless you tap on it like 33 times. And it was just like, there was all this bargaining going on. Like I couldn't do anything. It was either like, you have an anxiety attack about this and you don't do it, or you give in to the OCD and you do what that says.
Yeah.
I remember in grade 3, for me, it was particularly bad. Like, it was really, really bad. Like, I'm talking like I was going to the office a couple times a day because, like, I would have a freak out about something. It doesn't even need to be anything, really. Like, my brain was just so stupid that... Anyway, so I got it in my head that my saliva was poison. Because, like,
Jesus Christ.
Fucking, like, it can't even just be, like, food
external
is poison.
Yeah,
no, it's like every time you have a bad thought, your saliva is poison, so it's gonna fucking kill you. So maybe don't swallow.
Jesus
so
Christ.
I turned into that gross kid in class who would like, you know, slam up the saliva in my cheeks, and then I'd look into my sleeves. So there'd just be like wet saliva and like crusty, gross old saliva all up my sleeves, and like my sleeves were all like dark because they're all wet and shit. So that was me for a while, and I would have to like go to the office all of the time, and like lot of the time, like no, don't worry about me. But like a lot of the time, I would have to go to the office because of OCD. It'd be like, okay, you're worried about going blind. Well, you won't go blind, but you have to get up and go to the office, or else you'll die. So, and I remember one day in particular, it was pizza day, and pizza day was important because it's pizza and you're like a little kid, and like nothing is more fucking exciting than pizza, and it costs a whole toonie, which is $2 if you don't know, in Canada, and you get like 1 slice. And do I sound like a banshee? Because that's what chat's saying. Anyway, so I really, 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 really want this fucking pizza, and it finally comes. It's a pizza day. It gets there. It's on this paper plate. It's awesome. And sometimes OCD doesn't work. Sometimes OCD can't bargain with you. It just won't be there. Even if you try and try and try, it won't help. Like, I started doing this thing where, like, if I needed to leave my food someplace to go somewhere for a moment, if I didn't want anybody to put poison in it, I would have to, like, swipe over it to make, like, a force field. It was fucked up. It was just completely fucked up. So I get my pizza. I'm swiping over it. It's not working. I'm touching the fucking doorknob. It's not working. Nothing's working. Basically, OCD is not there today. It's not going to tell me I can have this pizza. It's just anxiety and I can't have it. So I'm like crying. Can't eat this pizza. Teacher comes over. Teachers are in charge. You know, like the lunch duty teacher. Lunch duty teacher can't eat lunch. Lunch duty teacher don't give a shit. Lunch duty teacher is there to make sure the kids eat their food because kids are stupid.
Right.
But so I have to go to the office because I'm not eating my pizza and I'm being bad. So I'm like holding this floppy ass like fucking paper plate fucking pizza on my way to the office. I'm like crying because, you know, like this is embarrassing. Like on top of everything else, it's fucking embarrassing. So go to the office and I'm sitting there with this like grease covered, stain covered fucking pizza. It's like, it's cold now at this point. And this like supply teacher comes over to me. Her name is Mrs. Healy, and I never liked her very much. She was like one of those teachers who had like favorites, and I was not that. But that's
yep.
Neither here nor there. But she started to tell me about how like the kings of the past had people that would taste test their food in case there was poison in it and shit. And she wondered if I would like her to eat it. And that introduced 2 ideas to me. 1, I could kill somebody, and I really don't want that to happen. So that was a new thing. 2, I don't want her to do that because I feel like I'm being ridiculous. But that thought was not strong enough for me to dwell on very long.
Yeah.
Like, I knew that there was no poison in this pizza, and her asking me to like let her eat it and stuff for me seemed ridiculous, and that never occurred to me before, because like everything that anxiety said to me was true, and everything that OCD said to me was true. So whatever I thought about it was not true. So this was weird, but completely overshadowed by the new anxiety of killing people.
So, which was brought on by her suggesting that. So she was trying to suggest it to help, say, you know, let me alleviate that by taste testing for you. But it just, then it transferred like responsibility. Your brain wouldn't even let that be okay. Instead, it just like projected that onto another person, and then there was a moral issue and responsibility came into play. Oh my God.
Yeah.
What a burden for such a young person.
Yeah. So I eventually went to a child therapist. My parents were like, "Holy shit." Let's take her to the child therapist. And for some reason, like, I hardly remember anything at all about that. I remember that he was super old, really, really old, and that we played Crazy Eights at one point, but I didn't know how to play. But I think that might have helped. I don't think I went very long because I honestly can't remember. But the thing about it is that, like, aside from that one attempt at professional help, and I do recommend professional help, by the way, just because it didn't work for me back then doesn't mean I don't think that it works, because I know that it does. But it's just sort of like the whole thing, like the anxiety and the OCD sort of grew with me, and it never, since I wasn't doing anything about it, I was just kind of accepting it and letting it be part of my life. And like, to a certain degree, like, it sucked. Like, the OCD part sucked because it made me do embarrassing things. It made me do weird shit. It made me weirder than I already was, but it was a tool in which I used to like continue living my life, you know, to an extent. There were still things that I couldn't do. Like, it was hard for me to see movies because I didn't like being in the theater. Like, there was just too much like going on around that was just, I couldn't control it. You know, it sucked because like sometimes like the anxiety would say, hey, something that you really, really want, you cannot have. So like, I wouldn't be able to open birthday presents. I wouldn't be able to play video games. I wouldn't be able to eat cake, you know, just like whatever.
Yeah.
So as I got older, the anxiety got arguably worse because like I started being cognitive of things that are actual problems, you know, like,
oh yeah, that's just gonna make it worse.
Diseases, yes, like STDs, like, because you know, eventually the schools are teaching you about STDs and shit like that, drugs and alcohol, like all of the, you remember in like grade 6 when like the teachers start talking about STDs and they start talking about like the dangers of drugs and alcohol and shit like that, and you're sitting in class and you're like, yeah, whatever. Not me. No, I was freaking the fuck out. Like, it's just like, I'm never having sex, I'm never drinking, I'm never doing drugs. And like, that continued for a very long time. Like, that was the reason why I never started. Like, if you know me personally, I don't drink because I never started because I was too scared to, you know, like, it was just, there were all these things that I just sort of like gave up just because I didn't want to have a panic attack about it. Like, I didn't want to worry about it. And so
what you're saying is someday when I have kids, I can keep them from drinking by telling them that it's all poison, but instead of them being drunks, they'll just be really fucked up.
Yep. They'll be just like me. If you want that.
Could be a lot worse.
But I think I was like 14, maybe 13, 14, something like that. It was like the worst summer for anxiety ever. I was talking to a friend online, as is, you know, custom in my life apparently, who I used to play WoW with in vanilla. And he's like, I would like to come see you next summer. And I'm like, that would be great. We could hang out next summer. And then, you know, anxiety was like, hey, what if you are dead next summer? So
Jesus Christ, you just like can't catch a break at all about anything.
Not at all. So like, that sucked because then, like, there's nothing more scary to somebody who is scared of death than dying, you know? Like, so like, and there is nothing more certain in life than death. So like, if you have anxiety about that, anxiety that makes you physically fucked up, then you're gonna go ahead and be physically fucked up about that. And like, since it is certain, OCD ain't gonna help you much, is it? Because it's just gonna happen. So, and like, it was so scary that like, I couldn't OCD it away. Like, it was just, it's certain, it's gonna happen. And then I started getting like edgy about it. I'm like, oh, if I'm just gonna die, why am I even living? Like, what am I even doing? Blah, 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 you know, because I was also a teenager. And I spent that summer, I dropped a ton of weight. I think I was like skinnier than I ever have been. And I've never been that skinny. But, you know, there was just like, I wasn't eating. I couldn't eat. And you know, when you're like, you feel so fucked up that you are always, you're like, your body is constantly not shaking, but just like tense. So you're sweating, you're clammy, you're pale, you know, like, it's like,
yeah.
Whenever I'd get like dumped or break up with somebody back in the day, like it's that kind of like unease, that unrest, that like you can't, like, just everything is so shitty that your body just can't relax. It was like that. So wasn't eating, couldn't eat, just freaking out constantly. And the worst part was, like, it was the middle of the summer. Contrary to popular belief, it does get very hot in Canada. Most parts of Canada, some parts of Canada.
I don't believe you.
Yeah, well, that's fine. But so super hot, and my house didn't have air conditioning, and I'm just like, the sun goes down, and once the sun goes down, like, I feel trapped, you know, like, because the only thing I can do to sort of combat these insane thoughts and insane anxiety about everything is try to distract myself. And that's like going for walks, looking at stuff on the internet, trying to watch TV, trying to talk to people. Like, some of my friends would be, you know, sitting up with me on the phone at night so I could fall asleep, just because, like, I needed to engage my brain in other things until I was too tired to stay awake. So it was just like that. Eventually I got through it. But I think that was the worst bit. So I'm just going to sort of get to the end of this, because I think I'm giving too much information. But, eventually, the thing that sort of put me back in the driver's seat a little bit, as far as like my emotions and my brain goes, is that I wanted a boyfriend, and I really wanted one, but I couldn't have one because of STDs and germs and, you know, all this other stuff, like all the things that you can get from other people, like the plague, you know, like, it doesn't matter if it can actually happen or not, because, you know, if you're worried about it, it's going to happen. But,
and we didn't even know about like things like HPV and stuff like that yet.
Yeah, good thing.
Which is just, but every piece of that just made it even worse for you.
Yeah. But I wanted that. I wanted it more than apparently drinking and drugs and all that stuff. Like, I wanted that. So, you know, I didn't know that I was starting to change into the person that is in control of themselves. But what I did was I harnessed the power of the internet to educate myself about the things that I was afraid of.
That's awesome.
Because before that, like, I couldn't do that. Like, it was too scary. I couldn't learn about anything. Like, I had to avoid everything. But in this case, like, I wanted it so badly, and I guess I was just like insanely hormonal, because teenagers, that I pretty much would do anything for that. So I educated myself, and I got way into it. Like, you think I know about like sex jokes and stuff like that? It's because I fucking learned, okay? Like, I have learned everything. I didn't care. Like, I was doing this out of necessity. Like, if I'm gonna go for this, I need to know everything. I need to know what can go wrong, what can make me die, what won't make me die. Like, I need to know everything. So like, it got to the point where my friends would come to me for advice about sex that they weren't having, you know, because we were like teenagers and not doing that stuff yet. But it was just, I needed that knowledge. And then once I had it, and this is all like, I didn't realize all this in the moment, but years later I did. Like, once I understood what the hell was scaring me, then it was no longer scary. And then I was in control. So after that, with sort of that method in place, and, you know, just the process of getting older and like my crazy hormones balancing out and stuff like that, the anxiety, and mostly mostly the OCD went away. The anxiety remained a little bit, but it's gotten to a point in my life where it's super manageable, and it'll flare up sometimes, not usually. And every time it does, like, I try to learn from it a little bit. So I know that, like, if I'm super stressed out about something, I'm more likely to have anxiety. And when I have anxiety, I'm more likely to have my OCD tendencies. And there are still some, they call them rituals. There's still some rituals that I do every day just to make myself feel comfortable. But, you know, they're not necessarily like, but if I don't do them, I feel uncomfortable. But, you know, that's okay. Like, it's not affecting me that much. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, you can still deal with these things, and you don't have to work through everything, you know? Like, in some cases, you can make the stuff that's wrong work for your life, you know? Like, if it's not bothering you too much, like, if it's not hindering you too much, just roll with it. But it shouldn't make you feel weak or lazy or stupid or sick, you know? It shouldn't. It's just, when you share stuff like this with people, and I see it happening in the chat room this whole time that I've been talking, other people will tell you what they've been going through, what they've been dealing with their whole lives, or recently, or whatever. And, like, that's why it's important to share these things, because, like, you know, your buddy breaks his leg, and you're going to hear about it for the rest of your life if you're friends with that person, right? Like, it's like, oh, you remember that time I broke my leg?
Yeah, of course.
Or, like, do you want to hear the story of me breaking my leg? It's like that. It's like, yes, I do want to hear the story of you breaking your leg. Everybody breaks a leg. It's no big deal. It's like, do you guys want to hear the story of my OCD and anxiety when I was a kid? Yes, because I also deal with this, or I deal with this, or I deal with something similar. It's like, the more we talk about it, the less stigma is attached to it, and the less people feel weird about it. And, like, in some ways, I think I was lucky that this all happened to me so early in life, because since then, like, I've never been surprised or shocked by anybody's issues, you know? Because I'm fucking sitting in grade 3 spitting into my own sleeves because I think my saliva is poisonous because I've thought about something weird, you know? That's the kind of shit that I was doing when I was a kid, you know?
Yeah.
And, like, that's the kind of shit that held me back from, like, living my life for so long. And so when somebody comes up to me and says, I'm afraid to go on an elevator, I hope you don't think that's weird. I'm like, I do not think that is weird. I think that you are a normal person, because there is not one person on the planet ever who has a normal functioning brain. We're all fucked up to some degree. Maybe some people less so, but guaranteed there's some portion of that person, that perfect person's life, where they were totally fucked up in the head. Sometimes you don't even fucking realize it. I didn't know what OCD was. I didn't know what anxiety was. I just thought it was life, you know? That was just the way I lived for a really long time. And
well, yeah, that's why it's good that we're talking about it, because these things, when they are an affliction of yours and you live with them, you adapt to them because you have to survive. Yeah. And that becomes the norm for you. So talking about these things openly, I'm glad that English guy mentioned that it was good that we were talking about this openly, and it's because the community spoke up about this. You know, we just opened up in our Discord, the separate room called the support room, specifically to let people air whatever they're feeling, and it's been a really good thing so far. You know, like, it's been, and that was part of the reason we're talking about this tonight, is just
and it's not just like one thing, but I don't know, just lately it seems a lot of people in my life personally are dealing with a lot of things, and it's just fucking, like, if you let it out, like, my grade 3 teacher, like, I'll never forget, she was so fucking patient with me, you know, like, she was letting me spit shit into my sleeves. At one point, we were writing letters to this little boy who had a terminal illness, and, like, before he died, he just wanted to get as many letters as possible, and my teacher let me opt out of that, as horrible as that fucking sounds, and I still regret it to this day, but, like, I couldn't deal with that. I couldn't think about somebody with a terminal illness, because that was the shit that scared me most. she was so patient, and she always told me, like, whatever you're feeling, write it down. I don't have to read it. Nobody has to read it, but you have to get it out. That is the only way that you're going to work through this. That's why therapy works. Like, you have to get it out. And like, the more people do that, like, the less it's going to be weird, you know? It's like, you know how like female comedians are talking about periods more in movies and shit? I mean, this is a weird sort of roundabout way of saying it, but it's like, the more period jokes we make, the less gross it's going to be, you know? But
sure,
having a period is like fucking natural and normal, you know? Just like mental issues, it's fucking natural and normal, but we need to talk about it. And this is why. And like, I don't feel brave talking about all this, because I literally just, I don't care about it anymore. It was just the way I grew up, and it's totally fine, and it hardly bothers me at all anymore. But it's just, I think it's important for every single person to just get this shit out into the open until it becomes normal. Until people accept feeling this way as, oh shit, I've broken my leg, you know? It's like,
yeah, that's a really good analogy.
Well, that's what my therapist said. And like 2 or 3 years ago, I started having panic attacks again, like when I was a kid. And I hadn't had them that badly in decades, you know, a decade. And I knew something was really wrong. And so I went to therapy, and I'm describing these symptoms. I'm saying, like, I'm having anxiety attacks in the morning, my OCD has come back, but I feel like it's ruining my life because it's making me lazy, you know, like I'm not doing things because I'm having anxiety, and I don't want to have anxiety attacks, and I'm feeling guilty about this. And like, I didn't realize it. Like, this was still me learning about, because I thought I was hot shit. I thought I knew everything about mental problems because I'd grown up with it.
Yeah.
I didn't. She looks at me and she's like, okay, so you're feeling guilty for feeling lazy because you're not cleaning the house because you're worried about having anxiety attacks. You have depression. You are clinically depressed. You are severely depressed. Like, at that point in my life, I wasn't going outside. I was crying at work. I was crying to and from work. I was having panic attacks in the morning. I wasn't cleaning the house, which was making me feel bad about myself. And I was blaming myself for having a messy house, not being able to take the trash out. Like, I would have a panic attack about taking the fucking trash out. And like, instead of me stopping and saying, hey, Thyst, there might be something wrong with you, I was like, wow, you're so fucking lazy. Way to go, you didn't do the dishes again. You're disgusting. You know, that was the kind of shit that was going on in my head. And so that's when I learned about depression. And I saw the therapist every single week for quite a few months. And it turned out that I was stressing myself out, and I was in a bad place. I didn't like my job. I didn't like where I was living. I was living in Chicago, where everything was scary. I was afraid of going outside. And I was just, you know, a lot of things in my life were happening. Like, my childhood home got bulldozed. Some stuff was happening with my extended family. You know, just a ton of shit was happening. And so I went and got therapy, and the therapist sort of like made me aware of myself. And that was a new lesson for me, because I always assumed that since I grew up with anxiety and OCD, and I was the weird kid, so I know everything about this, and I know myself so well. Like, I don't. And that it's just like, this shit can just happen to you, and you can fucking accept it. You can just accept it as life, you know? And then it gets to a point where you start like freaking the fuck out, and you don't even know why. You're just like, oh shit, my life is fucking shitty, and I just realized, what the fuck's wrong with me, you know?
Yeah.
And I've just been living this way. I've just been calling myself a lazy piece of shit in my head for months. I've just been wallowing in my own filth for months. I've just been avoiding taking showers. I've just been sleeping the whole weekend away. Fucking 24-hour sleep marathons. Like, that's not fucking healthy, you know? But
and how badly does that feed in? It's just a feedback loop, right?
Yes.
The depression makes you feel more depressed, so you behave in a more depressed fashion, which makes you more depressed, makes you feel more lazy, makes you feel more disconnected. Ugh.
Exactly. Oh, and it also makes you gain a lot of weight too. Yeah.
Which in turn makes you feel great about yourself, of course, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's fucking great. So it's just like a shitstorm. Like people who don't really understand depression, and I thought that I did. I didn't. It affects every facet of your life. It's a real disease, and it's hard for people on the outside to deal with that. It's hard for people on the inside to deal with that. So I just want everybody to know, like, I finished the therapy. I started working out for like a few months. I gave it a shot. You know, I felt marginally better about myself. But I moved out of that situation. I quit that job. And I'm not saying it's that easy. Like, no, not everybody can just move and quit their job and find a new one. But that was also the point at which we started Lagging Balls. And I think that's what helped the most, just having a creative outlet. I think I'm pretty creative, so it was just helpful for me to focus on something else. But the best advice I can give you, besides seeking professional help and besides talking about it, is when these things seem insurmountable, and I know that they do, like fucking doing the dishes, can't do it. Having a shower, can't do it, you know? Do one dish that day. Wake up and say, I will wash one dish. I will get on the treadmill for 5 minutes today. That's it. I will go outside of the house and walk around 1 block. That's it. You have to do bite-sized things. Like, you have to set yourself goals that are attainable. And when you have depression, a lot of the times you think, oh, you're gonna walk around 1 fucking block. That's not gonna change anything. You're stupid. Like, you're fucking lazy. Like, if you can't walk 10 blocks, then why should you go for 1 block? Like, it's stupid. Don't think about that. Just do the one thing. Because when you start proving to yourself that you can do 1 thing a day, then you'll start doing 2 things a day and 3 things a day, etc. So when it came to Lagging Balls, it was like I was right in the throes of it. Like, I could fucking imagine myself doing, like, recording things, researching things, editing things. Like, I couldn't imagine myself doing that at all. I couldn't even bathe myself. Like, what the fuck am I gonna do? But I was already so passionate about the games and about Blizzard and just the news and all of the people involved in Blizzard gaming that it seemed like something that I would really enjoy. So we tried it, and I went slowly, and I would eventually get the editing done, and we'd release 1 show a week. And every week it was fucking hard, you know? It was a fucking struggle.
Especially at the beginning when nobody was listening.
Exactly. Well, that's a podcast problem, not a depression problem.
No, I know, but I just mean in the context of all of this,
Yeah.
and starting out something like that, you know,
Yeah.
it was rough to just not have. I mean, now we get all this great feedback. You know, you guys are out there, you're very vocal about things, and that is the best possible thing. That's the best thing for any content creator, is just hear about it. I mean, you didn't get that at that time.
No. But you know, I was still getting what I needed out of it, and I wasn't doing it on purpose. You know, like, I wasn't making this podcast to stop being depressed. It was just something that came up in life and really helped me, and it changed my life, and it gave me direction. It gave me a reason to get up in the morning. And like, once I realized that I could start doing a podcast every week, it became apparent that I could start doing other things every week, you know? And it took off from there slowly, and eventually, you know, with like moving out of my situation, changing jobs, starting LB, trying to get healthy, you know, things got better, and I'm not depressed anymore at all. Like, I don't have any of that shit. I still have the OCD occasionally, I still have the anxiety occasionally, but that's it. And
can I ask you a question?
Yes.
About the for other people who are struggling with this, what do you think about the kind of the one thing that we all have in common here is gaming, right? And some of the ways that has influenced some of us have been that we've taken it to an extreme, you know, in some cases. And so, for some of us, but that's the common thread that we all have. So what do you think about using gaming to not to escape and bury your problems, but instead to reward yourself? So you talked about like walk around the block once, right?
Mm-hmm.
What if you used gaming to help motivate that? Like get Pokemon Go on your phone.
Oh yeah,
and take the walk.
Great.
Like you need to take the walk for yourself, but let's just play instead, and you have to move around to go get the Pokemon. So forget the walk part. Just force yourself to play a little Pokemon Go once a day.
Sure.
Or maybe like if you're going to wash that dish, then maybe you play some sort of real-time strategy game where you have to wait for cooldowns on something, and while you're waiting for the cooldown, you wash the one dish, and then you come right back to it and the cooldown's done, kind of thing.
Yeah, you could absolutely use video games to sort of transfer into IRL stuff. But it's funny you say that, because like World of Warcraft had a lot to do with getting through things and just sort of showing myself that I could do things, like getting into raiding. We only started like seriously raiding in Mists of Pandaria, I think. And just like Warcraft can sometimes seem kind of daunting just because people can freely tell you how much you suck. And that's not easy for anybody, depression or no, anxiety or not. But if you can sort of ease into something that you don't think that you can do in WoW, there's less of a blowback from trying something IRL, Like if you fucking suck in LFR, you never have to see those people again. Or if you go into a dungeon with your guildmates or your friends and you fucking suck, then you're gonna be like, all right, obviously I need to get better gear, blah, blah, blah. But if you like, set your sights on like heroic raiding or whatever, you can ease into that, no problem. You'd be like, hey buddy, can I just like try the first boss with your raid team? And buddy's like, yeah, totally. If you can, I think what I'm trying to say is like, it doesn't necessarily have to be something that's IRL. It doesn't necessarily have to be anything that's physical. It's literally just reminding your own brain that you are capable of doing something. Anything. And you have to start small, because if you overwhelm yourself, that's going to have a negative reaction. You're going to be like, wow, you fucking suck. You can't even do anything. It's like you have to start small. My therapist was like, hey, just, you have an elliptical machine that you used to get on and you used to do an hour every day. Do 5 minutes, And I'd be like, I can do 5 minutes. And then I would get on the fucking elliptical and I'd do 5 minutes and I'd barely even break a sweat. And I'd be like, why don't I just try some more? Like, why don't I just do 10 minutes? But
Self-motivation.
But I couldn't, I wasn't ready for that yet. You have to.
But that's still your mind moving in the right direction.
Sure. But, and you're proving to yourself that you're actually on the fucking elliptical machine, but you have to imagine, just like every time that you feel like your brain is being an asshole, imagine you've got a cast on your foot, It's like, I can't get on the elliptical yet because my fucking broken leg is still healing. Like if you have a hard time grasping the fact that there's something in your mind, in your brain that's not working optimally, that something's broken, picture it as a fucking cast somewhere on your body and imagine it like a bone that's still healing, Like you can't do shit if you can't do shit, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. Like
I
honestly,
got it.
like
Can't do shit if you can't do shit.
Exactly. I'm not the person. I don't have all the answers and stuff, but that's my experience with 3 different super awesome mental issues that I've had, and none of them bother me anymore. I'm totally fine. It's all good, but I just want you guys to know that like in our Discord, we do have a support room. You can go there and just know that nobody's fucking judging you. Everybody is fucking, we all have bullshit. And even if it's not mental issues, there's something wrong with our bodies. There's something wrong with our families. There's something wrong with our job. Like there's no person in the world that's not dealing with something, And the right sort of people are going to look at what you're dealing with. And even if they don't understand what you're going through, they're going to understand that you're going through something that is hard and difficult to deal with, and they're going to empathize with you. And if that person can't do that, then you don't need their input. But in our Discord, we have a great place where you can go to just talk about shit. And if anybody goes in there and starts shit, I can delete them. It's fine. my DMs are always open. Thorn's DMs are always open.
It's true.
And like, we only talk about video games and dick jokes, but you know, like, we still get it. Like, we're still here for you guys, and you guys are here for us. And like, I would not be in such a good place mentally today without you guys, like, you know, being part of this community and encouraging me to do what I needed to do to get better, which was the podcast and, you know, being a part of this community and playing more video games, because that's what I need to get better.
Yep.
So just don't let it beat you, you know? It's just something that you're going through right now, and you will find a way out of it. And the first step is being kind to yourself, and the second step is to talk about it. So that's what I've learned.
That's great.
Yes. And playing lots of video games, Blizzard specifically, helps a lot too.
Well, I know everybody's thinking it, and it's been said in chat a few times, so thank you so much for sharing that, because listen, you guys come here for the dick and the fart jokes, obviously, but once in a while, we drop some realness on you, and it's never without purpose, you know? This is, even when it's not planned, like this time we chose this on purpose, because we felt like it's, you know, it was a ripe time based on some of the things that had been talked about, in our community. And obviously our community is the one that we know the best, the one that matters the most to us, the ones that where we want to be there for you guys. And I feel like there's nothing better than to commiserate with people who suffer from the same. I didn't have these experiences. I can't relate to that stuff. I suffer with things like ADD, but that's my main affliction. And then I saw things like migraines mentioned in the chat too, as well. And those are not the same thing at all. Like, not even close. You know, they're just different types of ailments for another time that we've probably even touched on, I think, before on this show. So, yes, absolutely hugs all around.
Oh, yeah.
That was kind of the point of all this, is that, you know, everybody here have a depression pickle, and we just really appreciate how much everybody shared in the chat here. We appreciate how much everybody is supporting each other in that support channel.
That's kind of telling, you know? Like, one person starts telling their story, everybody else starts telling theirs. That is a good thing. That is good. You need to share this shit. It's good. It's good, man. Feels good. Fuels bad.
Feels good, man.
Feels good. I'm not even sure if the Dallas Fuel lost against Gladiators, but I'm gonna bet that they did. But yeah, so, you know, it's that. It's all good now. And I don't know. I just find, like, when you feel down, you just play some games. Play some fucking PvP, man. I mean, if you're worried,
depression game a while back, like Depression Quest or something like that. Wasn't there like a specific?
Yeah.
I think that was the game that was like, even at the center of like Gamergate stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. But like, playing PvP is good, like, or even just like deathmatch in Overwatch, like a game that's like constantly like asking for your attention is good. Like, if your brain is just like, you know, force yourself to do some PvP. Even if you're not good at PvP, don't go in to win. Go in to, like, pay attention to shit, you know? It's good shit. What else?
I think, you know, it depends on what appeals to you, right? Because there's some people can find solace in things like a good book. And there's a gaming version of that stuff, you know? Like,
is there anything better than pussy?
Yes, a really good book. But yeah, you know, there's like super story-driven books, or I'm sorry, games. Story-driven books, those are out there. They have those too.
You know, sometimes books are stories.
Yeah, sometimes stories are books. But yeah, books are absolutely good, and that's exactly the sort of thing that people would love to make suggestions about. So,
yep.
I feel like that would be a good place for the support group channel to go as well, for suggestions to help.
Yep.
Or just, you know, healthy distractions.
Yeah, and I just want to remind everybody that, like, there's tons of subreddits for every different affliction. There's even like Off My Chest, the subreddit, or Confessions, the subreddit. There's just always places on Reddit that are really good, where people will help you or commiserate you or with you or whatever. Our guild is always open for that. If you're in the US, the National Suicide Prevention Hotline is not just for suicidal people, okay? It's for everybody who is having an emergency or needs to talk or whatever. You call that, somebody's gonna pick up and they're gonna talk to you. They won't ask your name or anything like that. You don't have to be suicidal. They will ask you if you are suicidal. You can say no. They're not gonna judge you. They're there to listen to you, no matter how fucking weird your problem is. I called it for the first time in December. I was having an issue. I called it a few times actually. I was having an issue that was really freaking me out, and it was stupid. Like, it was not suicidal. It was a dumb issue. It really didn't matter, but it was causing me distress, and there are people there that'll just listen, and they won't pry. They'll ask questions. You don't have to answer. You don't have to tell them your name. Like, it's completely anonymous. You're all good. And usually they're like really funny, nice people because they genuinely care about people. So it's all good. You can also Google like national emergency hotlines and stuff. We've got the link to that in the support room in our Discord if you need it. But besides that, like, I don't know, you're good. Like, we got you. This community's here for you. And the cool thing about the WoW community in particular is that a lot of people who play WoW have issues like these, and
Absolutely.
They've found that playing WoW is a great way to not only like take your mind off shit, but also like give you routine, give you something to look forward to, give you something that you need to do every day, that will instantly like reward you. It makes your brain feel good, and it gives you a place to meet people with like, without the IRL shit. Oh my god. Right. So what I'm trying to say is like the WoW community on Facebook, on Twitter, on Reddit even, and in game especially, and across lots of Discords, they are very open to discussing these issues. And like, you'll even find, like, of course I think my guild's the best one, but there are guilds out there specifically catered to people who are dealing with this stuff, and you can find those easily. They're all over Reddit, they're all over Twitter, but they're there for you as well. So like, I'm just like, the Lagging Balls community is here for you, but if that's not enough, or if you're looking for something else, the World of Warcraft community in particular, the Blizzard community at large, yes, but in particular the World of Warcraft community is notoriously kind about these things and very understanding. Yep. And absolutely. So if you just do a little digging, you'll find all sorts of people who are ready to embrace you, bring you to their bosom, hold you tightly, not my bosom in particular. Like,
my bosom, though, for sure.
We'll be at BlizzCon, it'll be fine. I'll embrace you. It's all good. It's all good. So yeah. So that's almost it. We're going to move you guys over to... Is Azeroth Roundtable doing a show tonight? I think they are.
Let me check.
They better be. Well, we should go over there after. But thank you guys for watching. I'm sorry that tonight wasn't super funny or anything like that, but I just thought I should get this out. I have a blog entry that sort of explains everything that I've been talking about, if you guys are interested in that. It just goes into a little bit more detail, but yeah, I'm here. I understand. So does Lauren. So does everybody. We get it. And we will be what is the date today? Okay, so not next Friday, but the Friday after that is 420, and we were talking about doing something where we'd all go to High Mountain in game and just chill. We're not suggesting that you engage in any substance abuse, especially if it's illegal, but like, it just might be fun to celebrate 420 by hanging out in World of Warcraft, High Mountain, maybe light some incense and shit. I don't know. Maybe we'll hang out in voice chat. Maybe we won't. Who knows? I have no idea, but we'll have more details on that next Friday for you guys. And we do have a Lagging Balls podcast coming out. It's just going to be a little late this week because we got something special going on, but you'll see what we mean. And yeah, I think that's it.
We do, it looks like Azeroth Roundtable is going live just now. Core just finished, so it looks like they're just getting going, so we can raid on over there. I just want to I just want to post this one more time real quick because I think it's just really important based on what we were talking about today. Just remember that that's there, guys. It's super easy. You don't have to write it down even. You can Google that in 5 seconds if you ever need it again. What do we want to say when we go on over to Azeroth Roundtable? We need something random and ridiculous for them.
Let's say penis.
Straight to the point.
Yeah.
You think everybody's comfortable typing that?
Penis. I mean, that's like a scientific word.
Yeah. All right. Penis it is.
Yes, that's a
Everybody,
science word.
thank you guys so much for joining us for episode 27. Happy Friday.
Have good weekends or some shit. Do some shit. That's good. That's good. Penis.
Here we go. Moving on over.
Moving on up.
This part's a little awkward because I don't know how long it takes.
Moving on up to say penis. And John's gonna be like, oh my god, here come those people. They're saying penis. I like
We'll
that
lead the
word.
way.
Huh?
We'll lead the way. We'll lead the peen, don't worry.
We'll lead the penis. They're gonna saying it. It's a scientific word, so it's not dirty. But who knows? It might be. Penis. Penis. Penis.